not upload in any notebook, just open a new one, which is blank, so that we can go together as we go throughout the workshop, because you're going to be doing examples together. You're going to paste some few tasks for you to do later in the same notebook. So for you, you don't have to upload, just open a blank one, and then we can continue together from there. So let's, as we allow the others to join, just go through it and yeah.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Helen. For it's the one I'm just showing on my screen. No? It's the one. Right. So I think we're quite a number now. So, but maybe before that, Helen, I think we can do just a bit of intro. I think we are meeting some of the people here for the first time. As of course they continue to do their setup on the side. The rest of us, kindly confirm if you can hear me, and you could also hear Ellen.
Chapter 14 verse 30. Bible inasema then the wind.
Somebody confirm if you can hear me well.
Yes, I can hear you well.
All right, thank you very much. So welcome to the session. Thanks a lot for sparing time for this. We are going to be taking you through some trainings the next few days. So today, then tomorrow you have some exercises, then the day after tomorrow. So yeah, karibuni sana. My name is Levix Dudi, here from DataBuild Africa. I don't know which screen I'm sharing, but yeah, for those of us who are interacting with DataBuild Africa for the first time, I think I've seen a few names that we've interacted before. But for those of us that are joining our sessions or joining our programs for the first time, we are a tech firm. We operate in two divisions. There's a cybersecurity and enterprise technology division, which is a B2B unit in terms of enterprise tech. Then now we have the DB Academy, where now we're doing matters training and certification in cybersecurity, in data science, data analytics, data engineering, artificial intelligence, and other forms of emerging technologies. So that's in a nutshell what we are. Maybe before we go ahead, maybe we can hear from, I know Helen will speak when she gets the mic, but maybe we can, somebody, one or two people can just say hello. Maybe, I know we also had a lot of registrations for this, and we saw what the expectations were in terms of the areas that you'd want us to focus on. However, we don't have a lot of time, so we may not be able to cover everything at this particular time, but we'll be able to cover whatever we can be able to cover within the time that we have. So this is an introductory program to our data science, analytics, and machine learning full course, which normally runs for 6 to 7 months. Of course, we're just going to be able to highlight or take care of some of the key areas, some of the areas we feel are important in terms of those subjects that I've mentioned. So we're going to focus mostly for the sessions, because of this small time that we've got. It's just 2 hours a day or thereabout. And I feel like now we're already 8 minutes into time. So we're just going to be able to cover certain areas. And then, of course, we normally have this kind of trainings from time to time. So if you miss any bit that because we've seen quite a lot of requests in terms of whether it's Excel, whether it's Power BI, whether it's Python, whether it's AI, whether it's SQL, so many things that people have mentioned they would want to be trained on, but time will not allow us to cover everything. So ensure you are stay close, so that whenever you're having more trainings, such as this one, so you are able to join us, whether they're free or whether they are paid programs. Yes, otherwise maybe I can hear from 1 or 2 people, just so that we don't speak on our own. Just unmute and say hello, maybe if you've been with us before, if it's your first time, and perhaps what you are expecting, during these sessions. Just unmute. I think it's just open. I'll not just unmute and speak up. Nicholas Omondi, maybe you can say hi, or Francis, or Sifa, or Yvonne, or Joseph. Just unmute and say hello.
Hi, how are you, everybody?
Very well, yourself?
Glad to be here.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
Hello, everyone.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. My name is Sifa, and I'm glad to be here. And I'm eagerly waiting to learn, to unlearn, and to relearn. Thank you.
All right. Karibu sana. We hope you'll enjoy the sessions. Anybody else, a lady? We have quite a number of ladies in here, just for gender balance. This is Yvonne. Yvonne, how are you doing?
Hi, my name is Adele.
Oh, sorry. Proceed. How are you?
This is Adele. I'm happy to be here. Just excited to see what you have to offer.
All right. We're also happy to have you here together with the rest. We hope the sessions will be informative for all of us. Yeah, I think that's okay. We are quite a number now, close to 50. Helen, I think we should be able to proceed. So my name is Levix Dudi once again, from DataBreed Africa. I think for those that are just joining, we already did a bit of introduction. On my side, Helen will also introduce herself. I already shared what we do, and of course, what we're doing tonight is part of what we do ideally in terms of training. Trainings in data, that is data science, data engineering, and data analytics. Trainings in cybersecurity and ethical hacking, as well as trainings in artificial intelligence. Of course, that is training together with certification. So we've got programs. What we're having tonight, just as I've explained, is an introductory bit of our full course. We just want to go through certain areas. Our data science analytics program covers pretty much some of the key areas that are relevant in the market, including the spreadsheet bits. Sorry, unmute, so that we don't have any disruption. Yeah, so the program covers Excel in terms of spreadsheet. It covers Power BI and Tableau, that is for business intelligence. It covers SQL for database management. It covers Python, for analytics as well as for data science. It covers also machine learning. It covers also a bit of artificial intelligence. So it's a broad program. And during these few days, we're just going to cover just a few of those areas. We're definitely not going to be able to cover everything. But then it's just to highlight and to showcase whatever it is we have in the program, and to give you also some skills that we believe are very valuable. So the sessions are meant to be free. They're also meant to be very interactive. You can always type in your questions or whatever clarifications you need to get from us or from our colleagues within the chats. You can also request to speak. We would not want a lot of disruptions, because we are quite a number. We are many, so we may not be able to have all the time. But let us keep it organized and also keep it interactive. At this time, allow me, I don't know if before I let in Helen, anybody perhaps with any question before we proceed? We should be starting at 7:45 now. Anybody with any question? So these sessions will be starting at 7:30 p.m. Up to around 9:30. Will not take much of the time. And of course, I'll also share with you in the group, our WhatsApp group, that all of us can join, so that you have a centralized platform for communication. So I'll be able to share that. Any question before I let in Helen quickly? Or anything somebody wants to know on a high level? All right, Helen, karibu sana. You can do a brief intro, and then you can take us to the next bit.
Okay, thank you. So hi everyone, once again, my name is Helen. I'm a consultant with DataBreed Africa for data as a service, part of the things they do at DataBreed Africa. So I'll be taking you through this workshop for the next for 2 days. So particularly in Python and in SQL. The reason we chose that is because in all the disciplines that you can take from DataBreed Africa, that is data science, machine learning, AI, data analytics, they all narrow down to the skill set that you have. And in all those, most of them, they share those kind of skills. So that's why we chose to have Python and SQL, and maybe in the next workshop, we'll pick something else that goes along or that is widespread across all the other disciplines. So before we start, I've shared something for those guys who've joined a bit late. I shared something on the chat, that link, the Google Colab link. And I just don't want you to listen to me as we go throughout the workshop. I want us to do things together, because when it comes to programming or in coding, it's like the way you used to learn math in school. If you don't practice, you will never know. You might know the formulas and all that, but if you don't know how to apply them, it's all doesn't add up to anything. So I would like us to work things together. We're going to do very simple examples. I'll try to be as brief as I can. I'll leave you with also small tasks that you can practice on your own, because at the end of this, I want you to be able to at least write 2 or 3 lines of code on your own. If I give you a small task, you'll be able to think through it and write something that can give you a result. So I've shared the Google Colab link. I want to share my screen so that you can see how to use it. So I won't take much time. So let me share my screen. Not that one, just a minute. So yeah, when you open the link, it should take you here. I hope everyone has, actually, before we continue, I hope everyone is using their machine, is on their laptops, and you're really ready to learn something, if not everything. And I want us to do things together. So when you open the link I've shared, the Google Colab, it should open something like this. The first thing I want you to do is you rename this. This is your notebook. This is your play area. You can see my screen, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So the first thing I want you to do is to rename this to something like Python workshop or something. That is good for the purposes of you revisiting again, so you can know where you save it. You can later know what this notebook is for, because in the next, if you've started this journey, you're going to make many more notebooks, and you'll want to know how you named it. That's the way you save your files in your machine. So I would want you to save it to something like Python workshop, something too that you will remember in future. So in this, if you want to write code, you're going to be, when I say we write something, we code something, you'll add a code in a tab like this for coding. If I want you to write, let's say, a title, you can add with that. Then you write something like a title, like a workshop.
Then you write something like a
workshop. And then you can, just the way you play around in a Word document, you can bold it, you can put bullets, you can do a lot of things with it. If you want to see how it looks like that. So that's just how you work around. If you want to run the cell, if we write a line of code and I tell you to run it, you're just going to press here. So I hope we are together in that. And I hope everyone is on the same page, because the next tab I'm sharing is what we're going to be doing today. Yeah.
Send reshare the link.
The link for this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Marty, I think I can paste it. I can see it here.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, okay, you've shared. Good. Okay.
Yeah. So I hope everyone has the link now. You can open your empty notebook so that we can do things together. Okay. You can see my new notebook, right?
Yes.
Okay, right. So so we're going to start. So first of all, welcome to our today's session. I hope it's going to be interactive and we're going to learn something from each other. I encourage you as we go throughout the workshop, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. We are here. I'm also here to learn from you. And whether you're a beginner, a total green beginner, whether you have a skill set in this, you're most welcome. Please don't feel left out. For today, we are going to do mostly the basics in Python. And the reason we picked Python is because Python is it's believed to be one of the easiest or the most programming language with direct English. So it's a bit easier to understand more than the others. And Python is mostly used in what you want to learn from Databricks. That is analysis, artificial intelligence, machine learning, automation, all those things. All of them, they rely on Python to do stuff. Also for web developers and such. I won't take you through the setup. We're going to there are very many environments for working with Python in all this, but I chose to do with Google Colab because it's the easiest of all. And as you advance further, you're going to meet with many other environments you can work with. There's some people prefer to use Anaconda, VS Code, and all those. As you advance further, you'll be able to use those. But for today, we're going to use the Google Colab because it's a bit easy to understand and to navigate through for someone who's at the beginning of this journey. So I'm going to skip the setting up part because I've already given you the link to that. And in this, we're going to tackle foundations of Python, data and functions, intermediate Python, beyond the basics of just Python. And at the end of it, I'll leave you with like a small project that you can work on. And then in between, after every subject, I would like to leave you with a few tasks that you can just work around. I believe you're going to be paired into groups after this that you can work together. And then probably sometime next week I can look at what you've done on the project and I'll give my comments. Yeah. So I've shown you how to run the cells, how to add a cell that is for text, or if you want to add headlines, if you want to say something else that is not code related, you just press there and add a text. Or if you want to code, you add a cell for code. Okay. I think I mentioned Python is a general purpose programming language. It's known to be readable and beginner friendly. I had already mentioned that. It is used for web apps, data analysis, automation, AI, and machine learning, and much more. So for Python, code runs from top to bottom. That is the way you write your code. From the first line, the second, it executes code in that exact order, the way you've written it. So a notebook is like this one that you're using. So I mentioned there are very many environments you can use, but in our case today, we're just going to use to use notebooks. To use notebooks on Collabs. Sorry. Okay, another thing before we continue, Python cares about indentation, that is spacing. So how you arrange your lines of code, it really matters. There's a certain, you can write the right code, but the way you've arranged it, if it's not in the correct order, it might not run accurately. Another thing is, before you continue, when you see this, the hash sign, it's a comment. So every time you want to comment on a line of code, you put the hash sign. So we're going to do our first line of code, which is the most obvious that everyone does, even in whether you're in campus or where. So in your first cell, you're going to print this. Print hello world, welcome to Python, and just run it just to see how it works. So the print function is the function that you're gonna use a lot in Python because it just prints like that. As you can see, it's just basic English ya kawaida tu. So the print function does that, and you're going to use it a lot. So for the mini challenge, you can just print you can print anything, you can print your name. But when you're printing, if it's a text, you have to embed it in quotes. Otherwise, it won't print. So you're going to put a text, and then you're going to say it will print whatever you want to print. So the first topic that I want us to tackle will be variables and data types in Python. Just a minute. So the first topic that I want us to deal with is variables and data types. Those are the most basic things that you are supposed to know when you're learning Python. So a variable is basically a box that stores a value. It's like a placeholder for what you want to input. For example, in our first example, we have this word name. Name is the variable that will hold a name. So anytime you write name, you can go ahead and add any kind of name, anyone's name that you might want to write. So basically it's like don't know which best example to say. Basically it's like an holder. It's like an holder for what you want to write in your code. So variable is basically just a placeholder for something that you want to write. In our example here, we wrote we used the name as our variable, and then we assigned it a name called Amina. When you run it, sorry, I've missed data type. So a variable is a placeholder where you hold a value, and that value has a data type. For instance, the word Amina, that's a kind of a data type. Number 25 is also a data type. It's the same way you navigate through alphabets and numbers and special characters. All those things are different kind of data types. So in Python, we have different types of data types. For instance, when you want to write just a normal sentence, for example, the one here where we said, hello world, welcome to Python, that is just a string of a word. So that data type is, we call it a string or a text. When you want to write a whole number, that number is called an integer, just like the integers that you've been dealing with in maths. When that number has a decimal, it becomes a float. And when that other value becomes where you needed to say, is it a true or a false? It's what we call Boolean in Python. I also want to introduce the use of type. When you use type is how you check. Sometimes when you're given a task to handle, you might want to know what kind of data type you are dealing with. It's not necessarily that it is going to be so direct. So when you want to know what type of data you are handling, we use type to show. Let me add a code here. For example, we have here Amina. So when I write a name is equals, let's say Steve, and then I come here, I say type. I want to know what type name is assigned to name to Steve. It will give me a string. When I change this, when I change this to age and run, sorry, age is equals to 10. If I ask for the type in the variable age, it will return that the kind of variable that is assigned to it. It's an integer. So that's how you check for data types in a given variable. The next step is to, so in Python, you'll also encounter things to do with a bit of maths, arithmetics, and whatnot. For example, a good example is how a calculator works. So you'll find in a calculator, there's the plus sign, the minus, the multiplication, the division, and whatnot. So in Python, the most basic operators that we use is the plus sign, the usual plus sign that is used to do addition, the minus sign that is used to do subtraction, the normal subtraction, the asterisk, because we don't have a multiplication, it will come out as an X, which an X might be misinterpreted by our environment. So we use asterisk when we are doing multiplication, and then we use a backslash when, is it a backslash or a forward slash when we're doing division. When you want to do raised to power u, that's a power, we use two of them. When you want to do division, we use a modulo. And when we want to check if a number is a whole number, it's a whole number that we flow it with two forward slashes. For example, I'm going to do a small example. Let's add the code here. We do we do like what? We do, let's say integer int a or number. No, let's say num. sorry, num A or number one, we assign it to 30. And then we say number 2, we give it 40. And now we want to do print. We print 30 plus 40. No, we print number 1 and number 2. Sorry, we print number 1 plus number 2. It gives you 70. So the basic operation for addition is just a plus. You can just go ahead and do something like print number 2 minus number 1, print, it will give you an answer. So those are the basics that we're going to use when handling mathematical problems in Python. So in Python, it's just, those are the common ones that you're going to encounter. Okay, the next step is conversion between types. So earlier we had mentioned the different types of variables in Python. We mentioned there was a text, there's whole number, there's decimal, there's Boolean, and all that. So sometimes when you're handling different problems, you'll be required to convert some data type from one to another. For instance, when number 5 is embedded in 2 quotation marks, it becomes a string. When it's just a standalone like that, it becomes an integer. When a float number is in these quotations, it becomes a string. It's not a float anymore. So sometimes when you're given a certain, let's say you're given a certain data type and you need to do, let's say the one column you're given is on the ages of students, but you need to do addition. But when they were inputting the data, by mistake, someone input it as a string, but you need it as an integer so that you can do additions or you can do average. So in such times, you'll be required to do conversion between one type and the other. I hope you're together. So on this cell, this is generally what I was mentioning about the use of different operators. There's the addition, you can see the subtraction, and then it's printing for you all of them. And then when it comes to type conversion, for example, if you've been given age as a text and you want it to be age in terms of a number, this is how you convert it. Let us do together. So let's say we have marks for a student, but the marks have been given in form of a text. A text like that. But you need marks as an integer because at the end of the day, you need to do the total accumulation or the total marks that a student X got. So to change marks to number, you're going to use this function int. As you can see, it's already here, int, and then you use the parameters. The parameter is basically you use the variable that you want to convert. And the variable that we want to convert is marks, which was assigned to a string 89. So we want to change our string to an integer. So we put marks there. Now you can print the type for marks, and then we can check the type for marks num. See now it's changed to, it has changed, the type for marks num has changed to an integer, which initially was a string. So as you go on, you will encounter with some problems that will require you to change from one data type to another data type. And it's not just an integer to string. There are other types you will need, for example, when you're dealing with things, let's say temperature. So temperature, it will not always be in terms of a single integer. Sometimes you'll not need it as a float. And to be on the safe side, because most of the times when you're getting values for like temperature, you'll realize it has a float number. So when you're dealing with data that is involving some kind of, you'll be required to change to that data type that fits correctly to your problem. Okay. So this is a mini challenge. I don't know if we can do it together. So if you have your collab, we can do it together. So the first one, we can do the first one. I can leave you with the other four you do because of time. So we are going to create a variable for first name, last name, and birth year. This is what we have been doing up there. So I want you to create a variable with the first name. You input your name, your first name, the last name, and the birth year, and then I want you to print all of them. I want you to print all of them. So I can have at least 2 people. If you do it, you can just paste it in the chat and I can know we're doing this together. So I want you to do a variable for first name, for last name, your birth year, and then you just print it hapo mwisho. So if you manage to do, you can just paste for me your output. I see if we are together. Anyone who has managed? Okay, so as you do, I'll go to the next step, but I'll be checking on the chat. If you manage, just paste for me there, I'll see. So the next part that I want us to look at is strings and F strings. As we had mentioned there earlier, a string is one of the very many data types in Python, and strings, they deal with just the normal statements and nouns. Yeah. For example, in our first example, we have the word hello. Hello. Hello is a greeting. So hello is just a string. This is basically how you'll be communicating with someone. So it's a data type of a string, it's a statement. And then we have F string. So F string, we use F string when we want to print, let's say, a word and a number. For example, when you're saying, my name is Rachel and I am 10 years old. So when you're using different data types, when you're printing different data types, it's advisable to use the F string. So we're going to do an example. It's even here, but we can do pet name. You can say your pet name is called Tom. And Tom is 5 years old. So when you want to print just the name, you just go ahead and print print name. Sorry. No, print pet. Sorry, we called it pet. Print pet. It will come to Tom. But the next one, we want to print Tom plus the age. So what we'll write is print, use the F, because we are going now to mix two different data types. That is the string and an integer. Right, F, sorry, F, pet, Tom is, you can say Tom is 5 years then don't forget to put there, sorry, and there Tom is. So it's not that you can't print, it's not a must you use the F string, but it's advisable when you're using different data types. Okay, so another part of Python basics is how you convert strings. So some other time maybe you want to convert everything, or rather, let's say the kind of a file you are using, it has different. It is a mixture of small letters and big letters, and you want them to be uniform. So when you want to, for instance, we're using this one. I don't know if we should use this one or just add another one. Okay, we're just going to use this one. So let's say you are using, you have a text, or the data that you've been given is in a mixture of small alphabets and the big alphabets, and you want them to be uniform. For instance, now we have been given our text, Python is fun. This text here is a mixture of small and the big alphabets. For example, P is in capitals, F is in capital, and the other one, they're the small ones. So if you want to convert them, we use this function, the lower function. It will convert all the text into small letters. If you want to convert it to capital letters, use the upper function. It will convert everything to the upper one. If you want to remove, sometimes when you're given a text and maybe it has spaces, it has some white spaces, and maybe you want it to be one word, you strip it with a strip function. If you want to split a text, for example, if it's your name given and the name has been written as one whole name, but you want it to be written in three different names, you use the split function, and then you specify how you want to write it. For instance, in this, we have specified we want them to be separated by double quotation marks. So that's why the outcome will be this. We can just try and do, let's say, good one is subjects. Say, I love maths. So since our text now is as a combination of small letters and big letters, but we want it to appear in small letters, we're just going to say subjects. Then we do the lower function. See, it has gone to I love maths. Everything has been converted to small letters. If we change it to upper, everything becomes, if we strip it, sorry. If you strip it, let me show how strip works. Let's say it had spaces up mbele. So it removes this space and this space. So it becomes one in the two quotations. It removes those spaces. If it was like this, we want to split it. And we can use a different, want to put it in, sorry. Can use this one here. Sorry about that. So as you've seen, these different functions will help you convert your text or manipulate your text in different formats. If you want to congest them together, if you want to split them, that's how you're going to do it. Another function that I want to introduce is the input function, and input is the one that allows you to, or it prompts you as the user to input a certain input. For example, a calculator will tell you, you input the first number and then you put the operator that you want to use. So input is the one that is used so that it can make you user input what is required, or the certain input. Or let's say, for example, when you at the ATM and the ATM machine asks you to input your PIN. So this input function is the one that is used so that it can prompt you, the user, to input what is required. So we can do this together. Let's say let's do for a calculator. So you want to do addition for two numbers. You can say number 1 is equals input enter, first number. So anytime anytime you open that system, this is the message that will come to you. Enter the first number. And then for number 2, input. Enter. Second. The second number. You see, so when you enter the first number, let's say 2, you enter. It will ask you for the second number, 3, you enter. So since you have not even said what you want to do with these numbers, we can just go ahead and add something like we want to add these numbers. So we can add a third number, which will be equals to number 1 plus number 2. And then we can print number 3. So in this, your code will ask you to input the first number and the second number, and then it will do the addition of those 2 numbers, and then it will give you a result. For example, so we can add, you can put any number, get the second number, and then it will, oh gosh, sorry. Sorry about that. We can say, just a minute. Can say we want, so sum is equals sorry, we didn't specify. The reason it's given us 58, we didn't specify that it's supposed to be an integer at the start. I'm sorry about that. So let's say int. So we want the system to take it in form of an integer so that we can do the addition. Int. But to int. Sorry about that. So number 3 is equals to number 1 plus number 2, then print sum. So we can enter our first number, our second number here. So when you want to do things like addition, you need to specify here. Otherwise, it has just returned it as in form of a string. The first one returned a string because we didn't specify the data type. Sorry about that. You can try this. At the end of this, I'll share with you this notebook. You can just try on your own. So the next part we're going to do is flow control. We've looked at data types, we've looked at variables. Now we'll go to another part, which is called control flow. So control flow, in my simplest explanation, will be, for example, let's say when you're giving medals to students in a class, and you're checking, and the criteria for awarding is based on how they have performed in mathematics. So you're going in your code, it's going to be saying you'll have input all the data for the students. So to pick the best, you'll tell your line of code to run through all the marks, and every time it gets a mark that is greater than 80%, you can award a badge. If it gets an award greater than, you can give a medal, like that. So control flow is generally a chain of decision makings, and a chain of decision makings in Python. And in control flow, what is mostly used is if, else if, and else. For example, in this first line of code, the variable age has been assigned to integer 20 or to 20 years. In the control flow, if age is greater than 18, you print that that person is an adult. Else, if the age is less than 13, print that you're a teenager. Else, print you're a child. So in this, in simple explanation, if age is greater than 18, that person is seen to be an adult. So you print that this person is an adult. If this person is greater than 13 years, you are a teenager. So because you understand that 13 to 18, that's the teen. So between 13 and 18, that's a teenager. If it goes beyond 18, you're an adult. If you're anything else than that, you're a child. So basically, that's how decision making works. So like for the example that we've given for the marks, if mark, we can say if we can add here, we can say we can set the standard mark to be, if marks is equals to 90, and we want to give presents to the best performing students. So if marks is greater or equal to 90, sorry, if marks is greater or equal to 90, we print give a medal. So anytime the system goes through the marks and it encounters any child with a mark greater than 90, that is 90 to 100, you get a medal. But else if mark is greater or equal to 70, sorry, it's equals to 70, we print give a certificate. Else, if you don't fall within those categories, print something like resit the exam, something like that. So control flow is basically how you can have a block of code that entails making decisions. So if it is a yes, do this. If it's not, do this. If you have reached to a certain point where it meets a certain criteria, you can stop at that. So basically, that is what we mean by control flow. And generally, these are the common operators. This is to mean equals to, like this A and B, they are equal to each other. This is not equal to, this is greater than, this is less than, this is greater or equal to, this is less or equal to. Then we can have other logic operators. I'm sure you've encountered them in your previous classes. So there's and, there's or, and there's not. Mhm. So that was for if, else, else if, and else. The next one is the for loops. The for loop is for repeating and repeating in items. For example, let me give a simple example. Sorry. A simple example will be, let's say, use for, it's actually up there. For I, for every item, or rather for X, in a range of 5, print X. So this is to say, in a range of 5 items, print each of the items. So in range, when you've given 5, it usually runs from 0 to 4. So in Python, we'll see it a bit later there, but it's called indexing. So every item in Python, it usually starts from 0. So 0 is basically like number 1. Number 1 is like the second item. So the first item in Python, it's usually indexed to 0. So 0 in Python is not an empty space. It's how items are indexed, or rather how they are numbered. So they usually start from 0. So when you're given a range of 5, they will start from 0 to 4, because 0 is counted as an item. So they become 5, but they have started from 0. In case we had something like, we can change to a range of 10. See, it prints up to 9. So for every item in X, in range 10, print X. Now, this is where the loop comes in. So the loop comes in that the program will run through these items and it will print X every time. Let's see if we can print something else. Another example. We'll look at another example. So this is how it works. Let's say you've been given a list of students who are a list of students in a class, and you want to pick the ones that have the best performing marks in a class. So you've been given a list of you've been given a list of all the marks here, and you want to pick the ones that are, let's say, 80 and above. So what your line of code will do, it will be going through this, it will be looping through or going through this these marks or the input that you've put, so that it can see, it will get what you want. Let's say if it's it can get the highest mark. So the for loop, generally it means it will go through the items over and over and over to pick the item that you want to get until it's exhausted the whole list. So it will keep on going. It will check the first item. If it has met the criteria, it will print. If it has not, it will go to the next one. It will check if it has met the value that you want to achieve. If it has not met that one, it goes to the other. So the for loop keeps on running and running and running until it has met the requirement as per your code. So that is what the for loop, that is how the for loop works. So for example, in this, we had seen this example earlier. We did this for if age is greater than, print adult. Else if, print teenager. Else print you're a child. But for the for loop, we did for the count. So for I in range of 5, so for every item in the range of 5 of the 5 items, print count and the item. So it will print, it is supposed to print the count and the item. So we can just try. I don't know if I should remove this. Now for the first line of code, the first count it's a 0, because I've told you in Python indexing starts from 0, and given that 5, it will only start from 0 to 4. So in the first count, the number is 0. The second count, the number is 1. The third count, 2, and so forth until it has exhausted the whole list or the whole range of numbers that you've been given. Another example was this. You have a list of fruits. So you have apple, banana, and mango. So for fruit, for every fruit in fruits, print, I like the fruit. That's why, sorry. That's why we've printed it here. So it goes around and picks all the fruits, and then for every item in the list, it's going to, I like that item. I like until it has exhausted the whole list. So the for loops, it will work, it will go through the list until it has met all the criteria as specified on the code. The other one is the while loop. The while loop is like is the same way we will do, like you keep on repeating something as long as a certain condition is held. So I can tell you, you keep on writing, like as long as the teacher is in class, keep on writing. So as long as the teacher is in class, I expect everyone to keep on writing. Until the teacher has gone, you can stop writing. So that's how while loops work. So for instance, in this, in our example here, we have the counter starts at 0. Again, I had mentioned counting in Python starts from 0. So the item 0 is not just an empty space. We don't say from 1, we start from 0. So we assign our variable count to 0. So while count is less than 3, print count. So as long as count is less than 3, print count. And then here, count increments every time. So this is what it means. We assigned our count to 0, like it's empty. But while count is less than 3, print count. So the loop will go to the first round and print that specific item. And then it will add a counter. You remember the first item on a list is 0. It starts from 0. It can be any number, but the first indexing is 0. So this is to tell your line of code that after the first loop, you add jump to the next item in the list and print it, as long as it's less than 3. So as long as it's less than 3, the count will just go adding, doing a +1, a +1 until it's met this condition. So it will print all the items before 3 and then give you the results. So the while loop, this is where it holds the condition. So as long as it's less than 3, the while loop will keep on running and running until this condition has been met, and then it will stop there. So as long as the number is less than 3, it will print all the items, then stop when it reaches there. It is important to do this because it is telling the counter, since we started at 0, I want you to loop until you get a number that is that is greater than 3. When you get a number that is greater than 3, please stop printing. So it will tell the counter, we start on the first one, you check if it's less than 3, print. And then we add 1, we go to the next item, we check if it's less than 3, print. We go to the other one, we check if it's less than 3, print. As long as that condition is met, keep on adding until we meet a number that is greater than 3, then you can stop printing. So that's basically how a while loop holds, because it works as long as there's a condition, a specific condition that is held constant until something is done to go against that specific condition. This is another example. So while count is 0, we start we start with the counter. We set our counter to 0 in the for the first index. And then we say while count is less than 3, print count, and then we add the counter, so that every time it's very important to remember to add the counter, because every time it loops, it needs to go to the next item to check if this condition has been met and then print. If that condition has not been met, then it does not print. So it has checked the first, it is 0. It is less than 3, it prints. The next item, if it's not greater than, it gets done. So as long as it's meeting the condition, it prints until it gets done. So I have another mini challenge for you here. We can try and do it.
I have a question before you go on.
Okay.
Please go back to that code where you have count is 2, then done.
Here.
What if you do not, so after, is there a while loop that doesn't have that count plus equals 1?
Is there
That
a while?
condition?
Yes, there's a while loop. It will depend. This is just a simple code. As you advance further, you'll find that it will be given other conditions. Let me look for a different example I share with you.
Or maybe if I rephrase, if you don't put that count plus equals 1, it will just print 0, 1, 2, right?
Let's try.
Okay.
Unaona, so because you've not put the +1, you see it's still running. As I said, the counter is usually set to 0 because indexing in Python starts at 0. The first item is assigned to number 0. Okay?
Okay.
Say a crash course. Anyway, I'll stop it. So the first item is assigned to the first item is, if it's a line of items, the first item is assigned to number 0. The second item will be assigned 1. So in our loop, we have set our counter to less than 3. So we assume our first item is usually at index 0. So the first counter is going to count from index 0. And then it will tell I'll stop sharing for a bit, then wait I finish answering. And then it will tell the code to loop again to the second item. So it is very important to have this +1 so that it can tell it to go to the next item. If you don't do that, it sticks to the first one. You see now it's only counted the first item because it does not know where to go after that. You've understood?
Yes, thanks.
Yes, so if you don't put that, it will keep on counting on the first. It is an endless loop. So you have to tell it to go to the next item. If you don't, it remains on. It is an endless loop that keeps on printing. Like now, it's making my system to hang. So I'll stop sharing kidogo and come back. I stop it. Okay, it's back on. Oops. So if you don't assign your counter to go to the next item, it will be an endless loop that keeps on running until, I don't know until when, but you have to tell your counter to move to the next item. So this part is very important so that your counter goes to the next item, to the next, until all the conditions have been met, and then it prints the result. I hope I've answered you. Are we together?
Yes, you've answered.
Okay. So we can do the first challenge, and then the rest you can do, I'll share them with you. You can do on your own time just to practice. So we can do the first one. Write a loop that prints number 1 to 10. So for the simplest one, we can use the for loop. For numbers in range. Again, we are using range, but we said numbers start from 0 in Python, but now we want numbers that begin from 1 to 10. So we are not going to start from 0. We are going to start to specify that it's from the first number, and then the last number. So the last number does not take the last number, it takes the previous number. So if you allocate to 11, it will take 10. It will take a number that is a bit on the lower side. So to get the numbers that are within this range, 1 to 10, we pick the first item because we know the first item is usually 0, but we want to start from 1. And then we go to 10 because 11 is like the wall or the boundary. So 10 is behind the wall. So that's why we take 10. So for numbers, for numbers in range, that one, let's print numbers. So you see, we've achieved to get 1 to 10. So for this, the loop goes through this range of numbers, and it's only going to print the numbers that are within that range, starting from the first one and the one behind this wall of 11. So it will print 1 to 10. So it meets the condition. So for number 2, 3, and 4, because of time, I'll let you work on it because it is also involving arithmetics and use of some mathematics hapo. So I'll leave this with you. You'll do it on free time for practicing. The next part is we dive a bit deeper into the loops. So loops, this goes back to the question that had been asked earlier, if you have to add the counter. So sometimes you'll need to add a break to tell the code where it needs to stop, when it needs to continue, or when it has satisfied a certain condition. For example, there is break. A break, it's like you're exiting the loop early. For example, in this example, we have for number in range 1 to 10. So that is a number that is running from 1 to 9 because 10 becomes like our wall. If number is equals to 5, break. This means that once you reach the number that is equal to 5, stop the loop and print the number. That code, that block of code can just end there if you only want number 5. If you want to continue, you use this continue, skip to the next iteration. For numbers in range 1 to, this will give you number 1 to 5. If number is equals to 3, continue. This is to just skip this one and then you keep looping. So here we did a break and then we printed the number. Here we didn't break, we didn't end the code, end the code there. So even if it met number 3, it is still continued and then to print if there's that number again. Let me give you another example. A better example. Let's say the best one is for a classroom. Let's do it. I want an example that will combine the two. But ideally, continue will skip the iteration and just continue. It keeps on looping. So break will stop the code completely and just print the number. Continue, if it meets the number 3, it will just continue. We can start. Let's see if we can. See if this works. So this line of code, for the range of items in, this is number 1 to 9. If number is equals to 5, you break, you stop printing. So it has been going through the loop. It checked if the number is 5. The number was not 5, so it went to the next item. The number was 2, still not 5. And when it reached 5, since it reached 5, it took a break. And from there, it stopped printing. It stopped printing. For the continue one, you can just run it here. You see. So for this, we can change this. Let's use the same numbers as this one, 1 and 10. So please note the difference. For numbers in range 110, if number is equals to 5, break, print the number. So as long as the number 5 has not been met, all these numbers will be printed. When the moment the code reaches or gets a number that equates to 5, it stops printing. That's the end of that code. For continue, if number is equals to 3, continue, print number. So as you can see in our list here, there's no number 3. So once it reached number 3, it stopped printing. It didn't print number 3. It skipped and then it went on to print the other numbers. So that's the main difference between a break and a continue. So a break will entirely stop the lines of code at that point when a condition is met. Continue, it means if that condition is met, skip that condition and just continue to the next one. This is just another example. I think you can look at it a bit later and see how it works. So we go to list comprehensions. So before we go to list, I'll skip this part because this part is part of data structures. We go to this because list is part of this. So we are going to the next module, which is data structures and functions. So in any programming language, whether you're a data scientist, machine learning engineer, a programmer, or a software developer, data structures and functions are other common things that you're going to encounter a lot. So a data structure is basically a specialized way of organizing and a data structure is basically a specialized way of storing or organizing data so it can be accessed easily or processed or modified. A good example of what we see in data structure in your day-to-day life is how you arrange, let's say, a shopping list or your shoe rack, or the way you've arranged your contacts in your directory, or generally the way you've arranged your house. That's basically a data structure. So Python has 4 main data structures, that is lists, tuple, sets, and dictionaries. And those are the main four main data structures that you're going to encounter when you're dealing with Python. So we're going to start with the first one. The first one is lists. So a list is generally like the usual way you arrange your things, the simplest way you arrange your things. So a list is an ordered, a mutable, or a changeable collection of items in a single variable. Lists can contain duplicate values and different data types. And the main characteristics of lists is that lists are ordered, they're mutable, that I've said you can interchange them. They allow duplicates. So in one list, you can have one item that is appearing many times. And a list can hold items of different data types. So in a list, you can have strings, you can have integers, you can all of them in one list. Let's get an example as this one, fruits. So I want you to pay attention to this part. So lists, how you write lists, you enclose them in these square brackets, these ones. So every data type, there's a way of writing it. So for lists, you write like this, and then depending on the data type, for this is a string, the usual way, the normal way of writing a string, you put it in the quotations. If you wanted to put something like an integer, it's still okay. So the normal way of writing data types, you put them in a list like that. So a list, it's ordered, it's mutable, allows duplicates and continues. If it's a banana, it can appear many times. If it's an apple, that is no problem. And this is how you enclose or you write down a list. For example, let's remove this first. So in this cell, when you say fruit in position 0, I told you that items in Python, they start from index 0. So index 0 means it's the first item in the list, which is apple. When you want to add another item, you use append. When you want to remove, you use remove. We can print this, we see if it works. Sorry. So we've turned this to comments so that we can see the first one, how it works. So for fruit in index 0, it's an apple. If you change the index, it becomes to the item in the second place, becomes a banana. Can just go there. And if you want to add a kiwi to this list, you use this function append. You can also add something else like let's run that first. Then print. Fruits. You see it has added kiwi. If you want to remove banana, so we append kiwi, we remove banana, and then we print fruits. See, we've removed banana, we've added kiwi. If you want to know the number of items in your list, you use this function, length. So this one will print for you the number of items. We've already removed banana. If we add, if we don't remove banana, you see the number of items becomes 4. So length will usually tell you the number of items in your list. After that, we want us to look at accessing list items. So as we mentioned there earlier, lists use indexing where the first item starts at 0. So every time we printed here, the number here, it will give you that number of that position of that specific item in a list, in which the number starts from 0, being the first item being at index 0. Sorry, yes? Hello? Okay. So we've looked at appending. Appending is adding an item to the list. We have another one that is we can also we can have another one that is we can insert an item, let's say at the first position, sorry, at index 1, we can add something like grapes. And then we print, we see if grapes has taken the place of banana. Sorry, print. So you see, the first list, we had banana in the first index. We had 0 at 0 index, 1, we had banana. So we instructed this block of code. At index 1, we add grapes. So instead of having banana, grapes ikaekwa hapo in between. So that's how you insert an item. If you want to remove, we removed. If you want to remove, we use the remove functionality. So you can also do you can also loop through a list. For example, if you have we already have our list here. We have our list roots. Equals. Let me use this one. This is our list. So we can have a loop that says for fruit in fruits print fruit. So for our for loop, we'll go through the entire list and then it will print.
But then here should be 2.
Sorry? Okay. So the for loop will go through the entire list and then it will print every fruit in this list. So it will go through the list, and then it will print every item in that list. The next one, this one will come a bit later there. We'll come back to it. The next data structure that I want to look at is the dictionaries. So you remember how you used to access the meanings of items from your dictionary in school. So you go look for the word and then it gives you up a candle, a meaning. So that's basically how a dictionary it looks like in Python. So it's a collection of a key and a value where each key is unique. So think it of like the way you could go search for a word and then the word gives you a meaning. So in the dictionary, every word was unique, giving you its meaning. So in Python, this is how we write dictionaries. Let's say our dictionary, we want to write students and their age, their name, their age, and the course they are taking at DataBreed. So we're going to have students. Now note, before we continue, in lists, we use the square brackets. In dictionaries, we are using the curly brackets. So lists, we have name of student. Gonna name our student Mwangi. Then Mwangi is age 23. Sorry, it's supposed to have this. 23. And then Mwangi is taking course, which course? Data science, like that. So that's how an item items in a dictionary are written. So this is the key and these are the values. And it can be anything. Maybe it can be a food type, it can be subjects, it can be anything. Like here we used our dictionaries for the key is a person, then it's given details about this person. So the name is Amina, the age is 26, and the job is engineer. So not how we write dictionaries, we use this kind of brackets. So accessing items, this is how we access items in a dictionary. Let's say in students, you want to know the name of that student. So you can come here and say, we've not run this. So we say print student. Then we put, sorry, we put name. Print students. Mwangi. So that's how you access an item in a dictionary. You can also add an item in in that dictionary. For example, we already have name, age, and course. Let's say we want to add, where does Mwangi live? So to add, it's students. You add the item. You add the item city. So Mwangi is from Kisumu. Print students. Now we have added, the name is Mwangi, age 23, course, data science, city, Kisumu. So that is how you add an item to the dictionary. Let's say it was about a person. For example, here in Amina, we can add something like gender. You can add something like gender. It depends on that, on the values for that specific key. We can also loop through a dictionary. For example, let's say, we have said dictionaries have keys and have values. For key and value in students, items, print, key and value. So our loop our for loop will go through the dictionary, and then it's supposed to print for us the key and the value. So that's how it appears, the name. So I assume that, or rather, let's say it's names of students in a university who have enrolled for a certain course, and you want to know their details. So there's a way you can just print based on the dictionary using a loop. You iterate, and then maybe you are picking the students who are only picking data science. So in your code, you'll specify, go through the dictionaries and print for me only the students that are taking data science. So that's how a for loop will work. The other data structure is a tuple. So a tuple is an ordered collection of items that cannot be modified once they are created. And one of the outstanding characteristics of a tuple is they are not changeable. They're immutable. They're not changeable. So it's ordered, it's immutable, and allows duplicates. A good example is coordinates. We always start with longitude and go to latitude. So there is no way we are ever going to record the latitude before the longitude. So it's unchangeable. That's what we mean, that it's immutable. So creating a tuple, let's create a tuple. So this is how we create a tuple. Let's say colors is equals height, green, yellow. Now note, for lists, we use the square brackets. For dictionaries, you use the curly brackets. For this one, we're using the normal bracket. Take note of that. So here we can print colors. It gives you that and that. So to access items in a list, it's just the same way we did with the others. Just remember that indexing starts at 0. So when we say something like print colors at index 0, it will print for you white, because white is the first item and it takes the place of index 0. So we said that a tuple is immutable in nature. For example, like you cannot change. We already have these items in our tuple. So for example, let's say you want to reassign index 0 to another color. It will give you an error. For example, we can say colors at index 0 is equals to pink. You run it. You see, the tuple object does not support item assignment. That is to mean the way they have been arranged like this, you cannot change them. You cannot assign index 0 to another color, yet it was already assigned to another one. That is what we mean when we say it's immutable. Yeah, output. Okay, the last before we go to function, the last which is not here, the last data type I want to look at is sets. Must have missed that one. So sets is an ordered collection of unique items. Duplicate values are automatically removed, and the outstanding characteristics of sets is that they are unordered, they're not ordered, they are mutable, but it does not take duplicates. So you might confuse it with it almost looks like a list, but it's not a list. It's using the curly bracket. For example, we have numbers. You can say numbers is equals because let's say number 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7. So let's say our set has that. We have been given those numbers. When we print, you notice that it has ignored all the duplicates and it has only printed the unique numbers. So that's how sets work. You also note we are using the curly brackets, and the curly brackets is only used where in dictionaries also. So curly brackets are for sets and dictionaries, and then we have the square brackets for lists, and then we have the normal brackets for tuples. So take note of that as well. So to add and to remove items from the set is as we've done for the others. If you want to remove for item number 3, you use the remove function, like let's say like in numbers, remove item at item 3. Then we can print, we see if it has been removed, print the numbers. Sorry, print. Let's remove 3. Where is the mistake? Just a minute. Numbers remain, print numbers. Oh, so when we printed this one, remember we said 0, 1, 2, 3. We said, wait a minute. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. She has removed number 3. Why is it not removing 3? I'll check on that a bit later. So we have a mini challenge. I think I'll leave that to you as well. You practice a bit later. We are almost going to the end of this. So the next part that I want to look at is functions. So functions. A function is basically a reusable block of code that performs a specific task. So functions will help you organize code in a smaller, manageable manner to avoid repetition. Let's say, for example, in a certain organization, they are always awarding bonuses every month. And there's a criteria of checking the number you've clocked in, how many times a week you've worked, and all that. So instead of doing this manually all the time, they'll create a function that checks through the data to see who has managed to do outstanding work and who will be awarded the bonus and who. So instead of doing these things every month, and then you create a function that you can reuse every month to get this. So why do you use functions? It's because we reduce repetition, as I've mentioned, is to improve code readability so that as you're writing your code, let's say you've already gone to 1,000 lines of code and you need to do some arithmetic that you did in the first 10 lines of code. Instead of doing the same repetition, you can have a function that does that specific. Let's say it's addition, you can come up with a function for calculation. So instead of doing the long mathematical way of calculating, you'll be calling the function, the one that you created before, to do the maths for you. So it makes code to be readable. It makes programs to be easier to maintain. So when you have lesser lines of code to manage to debug, it's a bit easier than when you have bulky lines of code that are essentially doing the same thing. So it also breaks large problems into smaller tasks. As I've mentioned, if you have to do a repetitive task, instead of going all the long way of doing a lengthy way of doing mathematics, you can come up with a function that does it in a simpler way. So you'll just be calling the function and then it will do the math for you. So the basic syntax for a function is we write def, and then we have the function name, and then we have parameters. And then you can have some code here that will tell the function what to do. And then at the end, you return the value that you want. So for example, let's do an example. An example is this one. We have this function, it's called greet. And the parameter is name. So we want to greet someone. And the message should return is this one. So when we run this, we have our function name called greet, and the parameter should be a name. And the value we return is hello, that name that you've been given. Message that you've assigned is equals to greet, we call the function here greet, and then we've given the parameter a name called Amina, and then we want to print this message. So it returns, hello, Amina. So ideally functions are used to, let's say you're going to use, you're going to have very many names that you want to greet at the end of your code. So instead of writing a whole block of code for everyone, you can use a function to do that for you every time you have a different name that you want to greet. If you have a different person you want to say hello to. So that's generally how functions work. So this part here, the def, is used to define, it means define function. And then the function name, you name the function name, like, but you make sure you give it a meaningful name. Let's say you want the square of numbers. You can name the function like square numbers, something like that. Parameters are the inputs the function will receive. So sometimes you'll be required, depends on how you write, you can have the parameters here, or you can assign the parameters at the end of the code. It's just the same thing. So it depends on how what you're comfortable with. And then the return, as I've mentioned, it will give you the result of the function. So we can have another, as I've said, you see, like our function here is called greet name, and then it's saying every time you're supposed to return this. So if I want to say hi to many people, I'm just going to call the function and name the person I want to greet. I don't have to write the whole code again. I'll greet as many people as I want by calling this function. So assume it was not just a greeting, it was greet, and you tell them to cook for you and to do many things. So this function will do all that. What you'll do at the end will just to come and you put the parameter and it gives you a function. I hope now it makes it becomes a bit clearer when I say functions. They make your code to be a little bulky. So the next, so for example, this one, so we can have functions with multiple parameters. Let's do, for example, we want to do a function that adds two numbers. So add numbers, then we'll have our number A and number B. Then we print, we want our function to print A plus B, regardless of what we've been given there. We want it to add the parameters. And then here we do add what the function, we give our function parameters. Let's say we do 30 and 40. Then we run it. It's 70. So here we define the function. It is supposed to take two parameters, and then we want, for those two parameters, we want it to add and then to give us the result. So here the function, we've given it parameters, so it's going back here, it's going to print for us the result, which is the addition of two numbers. Can look at another one example. We say, let's say with square numbers, we define a function for square, then number. We want it to return, number. Remember we said for multiplication, we use that asterisk, so number, and then result is equals square of, let's say 4, and then we want to print our result there. So we defined our function as a square and it has a number. And for that number, we want it to multiply with itself and then give us the result. So here, the result, we want it to be the square of what is given in the parameter. We have assigned it to result, to this variable result. So we've given the variable result to be a square of, to be this function and the parameter, which is supposed to be the number multiplied by itself, and then to print for us the result. There are so many examples that we could try, but I'll leave them to you. You practice on your own. For a good example will be you to do a student grade calculator. Like you do a calculator that does that takes a dictionary of many details of very many students, and then you do a function that will help you get who scored the highest, what was the average for the class. You print the top students and such. So you can do that for practice. I'll give it to you at the end of this. So I want to rush to module 3. Module 3 to intermediate Python and error handling. So as you continue with or rather as your code grows and it becomes a bit complex, you realize that you're going to encounter so many errors. Like when you hear people saying they've been debugging and sometimes you don't see the error, like errors in a code, they are inevitable. So for example, sometimes when you needed to input, let's say at the ATM, you need to put your PIN number and you mistakenly put, no, an ATM is not a good example. Let's say you need to put what? You need to input a password or to set a password, and you put a character that is not accepted by the system. So most of the times, the system will return and tell you they don't accept that type of character. You need to put like numbers only, alphabets only, or you have to do a mix of special characters, numbers, and alphabets. It depends on all what you. So in cases where you've input the wrong one that is not expected by the system, usually if there is no better way of handling such an error, the system is supposed to crash and stop working or give you the bad results. So what engineers do, they create like a space or a room for errors. So it's more like, what if this happens? How should we handle this? What if a user inputs the wrong thing? What message should they get? Should the system collapse or should it continue running? So regardless of whether you put the wrong or the right thing, the system should continue working. So that's what we call error handling in Python. So or sometimes a file is missing, or there's just an error in execution in the program. Instead of crashing the whole system, the program should be able to handle that error and just continue executing as it should. For example, one of the common errors that you can do is like this one. As you can see here, error handling, try, except, and finally. Things go wrong sometimes. A user types a text instead of a number, a file doesn't exist, a list index is out of range. Python raises exception, which when this happens, without handling an exception, your program will crash. For instance, when you're doing a number, divide by 0. So the system does not know how to do a number division divided by 0. So it will give you an error. So if there's no better way to handle this in the program, the your system is supposed to crash. A good example is what we've done up there when we removed the count plus 1. Our program continued to execute until it crashed. I had to restart it and such. So in a normal setting, there should be a way to handle such an error. When a system is executing like that, what error should it give you, and what should happen to the program? Instead of it crashing, it should handle the error in a much better way to make sure that the system does not crash. For example, let's do number is equals 10 divided by 0. Something like this. So some things or some errors, the system cannot, there are some errors the system cannot accept. So what it does, it gives an exception. So what's an exception is a specific type of error that occurs when a program is running. When the exception occurs, Python will interrupt the normal flow of the program unless the exception is handled, as you had seen earlier. So sometimes you'll see something like something unexpected happen, end the program, refresh, something of that sort. So one of the ways to handle errors is by use of try. This one is here. So this is how, let's say how, when we use try, I want to use here. You remember when we had written number is equals 10 divided by 0. It gave you an error. So you can do try result or number. We can use number because tumetumia number hapo juu. Number 10 divided by 0. You can. You see now, instead of giving you this kind of error, it's giving you a message. Instead of giving an error in Python where the program cannot continue, it will give you a message to tell you that there's an error that has occurred, and this is the error. You cannot divide a number by 0. There's also another way of doing it. You can use except. In this one, we've divided try here. We've used both try and except. So we've divided a number by 0. Instead of giving you the error, it will give you a message to tell you that you've done something wrong. Let's try the age of a person is equals to int input enter age. And then we say print age. Then we accept print please enter a valid number. So in our code, we have specified that when you're prompted to enter your age, it's supposed to be an integer. In events where you've not input an integer, it's supposed to give you an error. For example, let's say I write my age as, I write what? I write a name. I say hi. You see, since I've not input an integer, the system will keep on prompting me to input a valid number instead of entirely giving me an error. So that's how error handling happens in Python. So for this, it's very important because if we don't include error handling in our code, in times when there's an error that has occurred, the system might crash. I'm sure you've heard of systems that crashed because maybe many people tried to access it. So if it reaches some capacity, it gives you an error. You cannot access to this because they have not given, or rather they have not assigned a better way to handle an error that happens to their system. So the system becomes overwhelmed and then it just crashes out. Okay. There is a mini challenge for you there. I'll still give that to you. So the next part that I want us to look at is working with different files and JSON files. So file handling is the process in Python where we create, read, write, update, or manage files stored in our computer. Instead of just storing data temporarily in the memory, file allows data to be saved permanently so it can be accessed later. So as you go on with getting familiar with this, you'll find, or you'll come across things to do with reading files, saving files. So you can, from a given data, you can also want to save it in a different format. Let's say you uploaded a CSV and you want to save a result in a text format, you'll come across such things. So files are important because to avoid data loss, so that programs without files, programs cannot store the user information, and it's through file handling that we can generate a report. So let's say you're a data analyst and you've been assigned a task to do analysis on some data, and you need to clean a given set of data. So after you've done your cleaning, your manager wants you to save the clean data in a CSV file. So after you've done your cleaning, it's up to you now to save the cleaned data in a new CSV file and present it to your manager. So with that, it helps you. It helps in reporting. So there are the basics you need to know about files. So to open a file, there's a specific syntax. For example, let's say we have file we want to open and it's for students and it's in a .txt format. So files can be in different formats. So it depends on the kind of format that has been given to you. So let's say we have open. We want to open the txt. Like that. So this is one of the basic ways of writing a file. So you want to open the file name, and the mode. The mode is important because this file means that we are opening the file name and it's in read mode. So we have different types of modes. It can be also a write mode. Maybe you want to create a file or override an existing file. We can have in append mode, you want to append or add new contents to an existing file. This does not create a new file. It generally updates the existing file. And then you can open a purely new file. This creates a new file. And in case the file exists, it will give you an error. So allow me to have a short break for 5 minutes. I'll be right back.
Oh, is it there?
Hello, hi, Mati. Hello? Mati, you can hear me?
She went on a break of 5 minutes.
Ah, okay. All right. All right. There's something you guys are doing. I think I dropped a bit the last few minutes. Okay. That's fine. So just as we wait for Mati to be back, thanks guys for staying put up to this time. It's almost 10 p.m. I know people are tired. Some of us have been probably at work in the day and all that. But it's good to see you guys here up to this time, at least for the sake of this training. So yeah, it looks interesting. Hope you've enjoyed the training. Hope you're getting something, and I hope you're also in a position to do some practice wherever you are with your computer. So yeah, just as I said earlier, Mati, when you're back, you just let me know so that I give you.
I am back.
All right. So I was just highlighting, I was just saying as we let you back, that this is just a highlight of what we cover in our programs, the data science, data analytics programs. So of course, we are right now having the groups which are winding up their trainings. There are those that are just about, I think in the next 2 weeks, they should be done with their training. Then we are currently now, doing the intake for September. So we're already picking people, rather enrolling people for the September group. If you want to be able to join these long-term programs in data science, in data analytics, data engineering, you're able to join. So yeah, the larger program is about 6 to 7 months, but then we also have modules in between. If you feel like you just want to do Python alone or data science alone, we have a module that can be able to support you. If you want to do just spreadsheets and data analytics alone, perhaps together with SQL and the likes, we have a package that is also going to suit you very well. If you also just want to focus on business intelligence and business analytics, we also have a package which is going to be able to suit you well. And these ones are normally just about 2 months, while the data science is only 3 months at a very affordable cost of only 15,000 for the BI and data analytics, and then at only 20,000 for the data science. But however, if you're taking the whole package, which runs for 6 to 7 months, you'll only pay 40,000. So that means you will be saving 10,000 on the whole program. And of course, we also have payment plans. So if you want to, just pay in bits, we have that room. So I think we'll share more about that. But for now, because of time, we can allow Mati to proceed. I think Mati, we have much more to do, or we are winding up?
No,
for
we
tonight?
are. I have only one section remaining. Most of it is just a repetition of what we already done. So I'll
Right.
just do the final part of the modules, and then I can share with them the notebook. They can play around with it.
Okay, so that will also include whatever it is, the assignments they have that we'll review on Thursday.
Yeah, the capstone project is there, but we can, I don't know about what it talked earlier about the grouping, or they can just work individually.
Yeah, I think for tomorrow they can do individually. I think tomorrow's project is light. The assignment is lighter.
Yeah. They are light assignments. Those ones everyone can work on their own. And then when we do after Thursday, I can do a combination of what we've done to give them a project that can be done by groups.
Yeah, that's okay. So tomorrow just we will do the light assignment so that we have it reviewed on Thursday. And then after that, now we'll be able to group ourselves at least once when we are now at par, when we've now gained some skills, so that we're able to, do even a little bit more intermediate kind of stuff. So yeah, I think that's okay. Just proceed. But I hope we can finish in maybe not so long so that we.
Yeah. I only want to touch on this, the module 4. So When we were starting the session, I mentioned that Python will be used in most of the disciplines or in different paths that you choose. So beyond the basics that we've touched in, Python is used, how Python is used in the real world. For instance, if you have to go for analytics, this is just like a snippet of how you'll be working around through Python. For example, you'll need to understand how to import modules. So modules are like inbuilt libraries that you need. It's like an ingredient that is inbuilt that you'll require to prepare food for a certain food with. So this is how you do it. And as you can see here, this is a certain data type that a data structure that we already dealt with up there. It's a dictionary. So our data is stored in a dictionary, and then it is transformed to a data frame, and then you can manipulate your data through it. So in this, I just want you to understand how the basics that we've been touching, how they can affect every discipline when it comes to data, be it analytics, be it data science, be it machine learning, and all that. The next one will be, so this is generally the part of analytics. So once you've known how to manipulate the different data types, you can do your analytics. Yeah. You can do analytics, you can do filtering and groupings of data. All these are the kind of things you'll be encountering depending on which path you choose to go by. Another one is, let's say in machine learning, this is how a snippet of what you might encounter there, it looks like. This is a basic prediction. So you'll be given to do or to train models, and this is how you're going to use Python. As you can see, there's also the basics that we've touched up there, the kind of data types you're using, the different way of aligning your code. So all these basics that we were talking today was just a general overview of how Python looks like, regardless of what discipline you choose to major in. And as it has been mentioned, this was generally, it was just like more of, not like a crash course, but just to give you a general idea of how Python looks like. So it's my assumption that if you're in today's class, is that you're interested to join a data career. And this is mainly what you're going to be dealing with, and a little bit of advancement in already what you know in the basics. So I think this is most of it. The other one is automation. This is how automation looks like when it's implemented in Python. So right now, everyone is into ChatGPT, AI, and all that. So a basic automation of tasks looks like this when implemented in Python. For instance, you want to be assigning, I use this example though, you want to be assigning your workers with points depending on the hours they've put in the work, the kind of task they have performed. So instead of doing this manually, you add automation to your program so that you can know after this long, person X has done this and this. And this is one of the most important things when you're learning data, that when you start to use data as a service within your organization, it helps in automating your tasks. So it means that you're performing better, less time is spent in solving very simple tasks and such. So I think I'll just end it here. The next is a cheat sheet, and this is the project that I wanted you to do. You create a contact book manager. So I'll share this with you. I'll share this with you on the chat. You can go and try. I'll also give you another. For example, there's there's another example here, the interactive menu. So you can try this on you can prevent duplicates, edit contacts, validate. There are like 3 examples there that you can work on. Just play around with them, because on the next session we are going to do SQL, and SQL goes in hand with Python, so that at the end of the next session we can have one joint project that we are going to group you, and then you're going to work together. So for the mini challenges in this notebook, I want you to just go try, work around, do a simple calculator, do simple mathematics, build something too very, very simple. Just try, and when we meet on the next session, I can now give you I can give you a bigger project that you will need to work with each other, so that you can help each other. I understand that most people are not as green as the others, so we will combine all of you, so that you can help each other. And then the coming week, we can maybe look at the projects and give back our feedback. But yeah, I'll wish to end there. Thank you for listening to me. I hope I was not boring, and I hope you've grasped something out of it. I'm going to share this this notebook with you on the chat. You can go play around with it however you want. Yeah, and I wish you happy learning. Thank you.
Thank you for
Hold on a
this.
minute. Yeah, thank you very much, Helen. Thank you very much. And thanks everyone for staying all through. Thank you very much. We appreciate. I don't know. I know there are a couple of questions which were asked, which were in the chat. I'm not sure if maybe we'll go through them tomorrow, or I mean the day after tomorrow. Or Marty, there's you've gone through them, some of them.
No, I can check. So
You just
I
see
hope
if
it's
there's any
really short.
pressing
There's someone
ones.
asking about certificates, recordings. Okay, on Python, are we using VS Code or PyCharm? Okay, for that one, depends on which you feel comfortable with. Ideally, it's where you feel like you're comfortable with. You can use on PyCharm, you can use on VS Code. If you're good with VS Code, well and good. If you like PyCharm, if you want to continue with Collabs, if you want to install Anaconda and use Jupyter Notebooks, well and good. The result is the same. Just pick what works for you and try that. As when I was starting, I mentioned that the reason we use in Google Colab, it's because it's the simplest of all. No major installations, no setting environments and whatnot. They're already there. You just execute your code. That's the reason we use Google Colab, because it does have taken us so much time to start doing the installations and the setups and whatnot. So with time, whether you've started with Google Colab or whatever you have, with time you'll meet very many environments or very many other tools that you can use. It's up to you to decide what works for you. So whichever you decide, that's well and good. Oh, I see we're using Jupyter. Nice. Kindly share the link for the Google Colab. Okay, first name, age, first name. Yeah, I had requested you guys to do this, and thank you for the feedback. Good job, good job, good job. I'm proud of you. Muendelee hivyo hivyo. I hope later is it recorded? You can share with them.
Yeah, the session is recorded. We will share.
Okay, there's a count is equals to 0, Marcel. While guest, print count. Okay, remove banana. This, yes. Hello, yes, they'll be shared. While using VS Code, any other coding. Okay, whether you use this, there are very many sites where you can practice coding apart from class, because class alone, to be very honest, if you don't practice, won't be enough for you. So there are very many sites where you can do practicing and whatnot to be able to grasp this better. I think it's the best idea. Python is the best idea. Whatever works for you is okay. As long as you get the correct answer, that's fine. So you just use what works for you. There's no problem. I have no problem with it. So yeah, I think I have answered the questions that were in the chat.
All right, thank you so much. So I've also just dropped, thank you so much, Marty, for the session. And thanks everyone for staying. So I've just shared already a link on the group, on the chat, just to ensure that you get access to the materials and also you're able to, excuse me, to collaborate with the rest of us. Just ensure you join the group kindly, so that you don't face any challenges in terms of accessing any material or any information regarding these and any other similar programs. Yes, so I think, but I believe you'll be able to share with them. You said you have something you'll be able to share with
I'm
them
sharing
after.
right now. It's on
All
the
right.
chat. They can download from that link.
Okay. But I think all of us, before we go, maybe the first thing you can just do is just log into that group so that we have a centralized way of sharing this material and information. Just before you log out, just join the group kindly if you're not part of it already. I know some of us are already part of it. Because also we'll also be having some group work, so we'd like to have you guys around so that you're able to do some exercises here and there, just to gauge your knowledge and also to help you out with advancing. Anybody who's yet to probably join the group that we've shared, Matty has also shared the link, the material link on the chat, so you can still be able to use that. But ensure you are in the group at least. That will help you out with the reliable information or communication. So yeah, I think that's fine. We should be able to wind up now. But as I was saying earlier, this is just a highlight of what our program is, the long-term program, the data science, analytics, and BI program. Of course, we have groups which are currently winding up, but then we're also currently doing. Oh, Flavian, you have a question? I'll let you speak in just a minute. So we are currently winding up some groups, but then we also have the September intake, which is already open. And this program was meant to just give you a high-level overview, just give you a picture of some of the concepts or some of the areas we train, in those long programs. So this program is also divided into subunits, where rather into some smaller packages. You can be able to pick just data analytics, you can pick just business intelligence, or you can pick just data science. So each one of those, each of data science and business intelligence will only take around 2 months. Then data science on its own is 3 months. So if you don't have the time or even the huge resources to be able to do like the whole project, or you just have specific needs in data that you want to be trained on, then you can select whatever is of interest to you. So if you want to be able to be part of this, I will be able to share with you. I think, just give me a minute. I think I can be able to share the link, just in case somebody wants to join that larger group. Yeah, but in the meantime, I can give you a minute or two to ask any general questions. I think Matty has answered the technical questions in terms of the training. Any general questions that somebody might be having, I'm happy to answer you. As I try to get you the link. So this is just one of the programs we are having. So this is data science, analytics, and so on. Then there's also cybersecurity for those cybersecurity people, but today we focused more on the data side. Flavian, you had a question, and then after you, we'll have Ryan Williams. Please just unmute and speak.
Thank you so much. It's just an appreciation. Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah.
You're most welcome. Thanks for the warm feedback.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. How are you?
Oh, fine. Thank you. I have a question on the enrollment. Before Marty was lecturing us on the Python lessons, you mentioned that these programs have payment plans. So what do those look like? Do we pay per month, every 3 months? How does that look like?
Yeah, so the larger program is for data is 40,000 Kenya shillings. So first of all, for you to be able to get enrolled and start your learning, you need to pay a minimum of 10,000. Then the balance of 30,000 is payable by the end of the third month of learning, you should have been able to clear. So at least monthly, you should be paying at least the 10,000 per month.
Yeah. Right,
Yeah,
thanks.
so if you start the program in September, then it means September to October to November to December. So by January at least, or by around mid of January, you should have been able to at least clear the rest of the balance. How does that sound? Is it something that's within your desires?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm just, somebody else had a question. Flavian, you had raised your hand. Please unmute and speak. So I've just typed in. I don't know, Flavian, if you want to speak, please speak. The mic is open
There's a
for you.
question in the chat.
All right. Yeah, you want to take the question? I'm not sure if. Okay. Is the WhatsApp link a group or a community? So the link is a community. The community has several groups. It has several, the various cohorts. Everybody has their own groups, but then we also have one general platform which is open to everyone. So that is the one I shared here, just to be able to ensure that at least we are not. You guys are not alone in whatever it is that you're doing. We have so many groups that we are handling. So at least we want to ensure that everybody at least has access to the rest of us. We like doing things together. If you find people to help you out, it's usually better that way. Joshua, I hope that answers your question well. Yeah, I've just shared also for those that are interested. We're still here. Matthew will share with you the assignment for tomorrow, but then we'll be back to this session, to the live session on Thursday. So I'm hoping that by the time we're getting back on Thursday, we will have wound up on whatever it is that Matthew has shared that will be expected to do. Then on Thursday, we will be putting you guys into groups so that we're able to perform certain tasks here and there and help out each other. We don't have much time during this session, so at least when we can be able to do more beyond the time, it will be proper that way. Anybody else with a question before we call it a night? Athman Lonya is asking, is there a certificate of completion after this training? No, this training is not certified. We don't certify in this particular training. It's a very short one, so I don't think we would have loved to certify everyone, but it's a short one. I think if you need the certificates, you can be able to enroll for the programs that I've just shared in the chats. Then definitely you'll get certified. Athman, I hope that answers your question, but you can also reach out to me. I can also help you out with whatever queries you may be having. I've just typed in my number on the chat. 0792596600. You can also call the company number on 0743279990 for assistance. Then you could also decide to email us on info@databuildafrica.com. Somebody raised a hand. I'm not seeing them. Monica, you raised your hand. Right, I think it's already late in the night. I think we can be able to, there's one more question. What are the exact stack covered in the data science, analytics, and BI program, and what are the projects one will work on? Yeah, I think, Joseph, I think you can reach out to me. I'll be able to explain to you in details what the stack, in terms of the tools we cover, in terms of the course outline and everything else. So the moment you enroll for the program, of course, we will also be able to give you the course outline and everything else. Okay. Monica, you're saying I can't unmute. Just type in. I'll be able to read out your question, Monica. So Joseph, you can reach out to me on the number that I've shared in the chat, 0792596600. And then I'll be able to share with you more. I don't want to take much more of people's time, so that people can go and at least rest. Sorry, I'd written actually the number wrongly. 9259660043. Yeah, so this one is correct. Monica, you can just type in your question so that we don't leave you out, but also ensure everybody you've joined the group so that you're able to get whatever communications we need. Marty, is there anything else to add, or we call it a night?
That will be all from me. I'll meet you guys on Thursday. Just go through the notebook I've shared. There are a lot of mini challenges after every module that I want you to try on. And then when we meet next time, we can talk a bit about it a bit. And then at the end of next time's session, I'll give you a project. I hope by then we will have grouped you guys so that we can assign the projects to you. So yeah, for now, that will be all from me. See you on Thursday.
Okay, thanks so much.
Sorry, I could not unmute, but now I have been able to unmute.
Yeah, it's okay. Go on.
Good
How are you?
evening, my teachers. Thank you. I'm fine. Thank you. No, I'm wondering if we can have at least a video for illustrations for some of the areas that probably we did not get, or even for a catch up. Is it possible?
Well, this recording will be provided, but then do you mean videos beyond tonight's training?
What exactly we are doing? Because maybe there are some areas that somebody did not get very, very well. Probably you need to replay to understand.
Yeah, this video, this recording will be shared to everyone. So just ensure you're part of the group so that you're not left behind. But this recording will be shared with everyone, no? Then, but
Okay.
more importantly, because this is just a small session, it's only 2 hours. We're not able to cover everything ideally. So that's why we are saying if you are also really interested in the long project programs, the 2 months, 6 months, you can be able to still enroll and get trained on at a deeper level. But yes, this recording will be shared with you, Monica and the rest.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. I think that's okay. I don't think we have any other question or additions. So see you guys again on Thursday. Thank you very much for being here. Thanks as well, Marty, Helen, for taking us through the session. We appreciate. Thank you, guys. Enjoy your night. If you have any question, reach out to me or reach out to the company through the numbers that I've provided in the chat. See you next time. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.